83 clients on grand opening day. This is obviously a typo. Everyone knows that you can't open with clients. That is a myth. You have to lose money for months. You have to max out your line of credit. You have to sleep at the gym. You've got to fight with your partner over money.
Well, Mike, that is completely a myth. 100%.
You did this?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. I need to hear the story. Are you ready to share your secrets with the rest of us?
I would love to. Any way that I can help other people, I'd love to be along that journey.
All right. Well, to our listeners, welcome to Two Brain Radio. This is Jason Tebedo of CrossFit Angier, and he's here to tell us how he opened with 83 members. Before we get into that story, I want to ask you to hit like and subscribe or ring the notifications bell wherever you are watching or listening with my thanks. Now, Jason, I need to know it. I'm not going to keep these people waiting. The big question, how'd you open with 83 members? Tell me what's up.
Well, I tell you, I couldn't have done it without my mentor. Working with Jolene Bingham was absolutely just crucial to me being able to open it up with 83 members. She laid out kind of a foundation as far as how my business plan should be structured, moving into a founders club, a pricing binder, no sweat intros. And I think the thing that really worked for me as being a former military guy is having a proven model that we know that works, and then being able to action that. Too many times I think we think we're the smartest person in the room, and we try to invent these things and ways of doing things. But there's I don't know how Jim's Two Brain has, but you guys have tried everything and seen what works and what doesn't work. And I just think it was absolutely instrumental as far as us doing the right things to get people in here.
Okay, so you mentioned a couple of things that I want to really dig into. And the one that I want to know about is Founders Club. Talk to me a little bit about that, because I'll tell you the quick story. When I started as a gym owner, I started a facility, and I think we had, I want to say maybe 8 people, so few that I could keep track of it on an Excel spreadsheet, and we were losing money. And I was very nervous about the whole thing. So tell me about Founders Club and how that worked for you.
Yeah. Well, I think the greatest thing about Founders Club for us was kind of the psychological aspects of it. People love to see their name, love to see it in action. So we really tried to promote that they were a part of this community, and we were building it from the ground up. So we created Founders Club t-shirts, put everybody's names on the back. I've cut a little bit of a woodworker myself, engraved everybody's names and put it up. And just having those aspects of that just really allowed us to really build those numbers. And not only that, and I'm sure we'll probably get into it in a little bit, but affinity marketing, once you get those, grade A type of clients coming in that that have a lot of influence in the ecosystem, and having them help you leverage your Founders Club, it was just absolutely instrumental.
So for those who don't know, the Founders Club concept is the idea that before you even open, you start telling people, here is the stuff that you can get. And you start packaging things. And Chris has been always clear, Chris Cooper, Two Brain founder, clear not to discount certain things, right? You don't want to cheapen your membership and attract people that are just there for that tourist package. But there are some things that you can package together and create these really cool packages. And even like, the t-shirt that you've got it, you have to earn it. You can't buy it, that kind of stuff. Giving people a sense of, I was there first. I have the rock and roll t-shirt from when they were playing in the club, not the stadium, that kind of thing. So tell me about what did you offer in your Founders Club? And then how did you get this thing out in the community so people could find out about you before you even had a building and a space, correct?
Yeah, well, we did have the building in the space. So we kind of,
but not officially open.
Yeah, no. We didn't officially open until, I think, a couple of weeks ago. But, just advertising the ability of, we're a new gym in the area, we're bringing something unique to the area, providing a different value for them. But once I got in here, specifically within the Founders package, we offered, the t-shirt, obviously. We offered free access to a bunch of different, seminars that we're going to be having throughout the year. Yep. We offered a one-on-one nutrition counseling. Even my most advanced athletes that came definitely took advantage of that to really nail down their nutrition. And sometimes, coaches need coaches too. No matter how much you just sometimes need that kick in the pants to get moving. So, that coupled with, all the other things, the social media shout outs, and I'm sure we'll probably get to the Two Brain marketing course here sometime during our conversation. But, using the power of social media to celebrate these people that were joining fueled the effort for other people to join also.
So you mentioned some of the stuff that's in that package, and the idea there is you're offering value but you're not giving away memberships, not saying, get a free month and things like that. And like, we've seen people do that where you give away free months and all of a sudden, the intro package runs out. You still got members, still got to serve them. The costs are piling up. It's a bad play. But by doing things like access some seminars, some things that don't cost you a ton of money, and that t-shirt, really is a big deal. So you give people something that they want and you give them status almost more than anything else. And Two Brain has a complete playbook for this Founders Club. You can take a look at some of this stuff. If you get Chris Cooper's book, Start a Gym, it's also in there. But the idea is you are getting people to come and sign up for something and you're giving them some extra value, and that keeps them. Tell me, where did the very first person come from? Who was number one?
Oh man, that's a great question. I would have to think about that a little bit. Obviously, some of my friends and, family members, they were like the first, kind of seed clients per se. They helped build the gym and they really wanted to be, part of that foundation. But once they were established, a lot of other members came in from no beginning of CrossFit, just as cherry as can be, and using, the social media type stuff that, you guys recommend. We're able to get in a lot of people. Two Brain always talks about the client avatar, Our client avatar is a woman over 35 years old, 45 years old, maybe 2 kids. The kids are just about 8 or 9. They're kind of independent at one time in a woman's life where she's getting back to focusing on herself. And we really tried to, kind of gear towards that and really give back to, the mothers that have given so much to us.
So do you remember, the first time, like, friends and family is awesome, right? Like, they're still members, but at the same time, you're like, those are kind of freebies, right? Do you remember when you started finding people in that 83 that were like, you didn't know who they were? Like, was that a big deal for you to see that this thing's actually working?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a lot of trial and error. I felt on my part of trial and error because I was implementing the strategies that you guys had. So when it came to like unfamiliar situations, I could always rely on my mentor to really kind of help me out and navigate those types of situations.
I love it. And I love hearing, like, Chris Cooper always writes about this, about the records of how many people have signed up, like which gyms have signed up with the most people or started with the most people. And 83 is one of the top scores, which I think is super cool. Well, let's go.
Mike, if I can add one thing.
Yeah, please.
Lita she set that bar high for me. I've been following Two Brain for years. And I've read all of Chris's books. And when I heard her podcast of her humble beginnings and, being in a quote, I think she said a disenfranchised area, a rural area, and being able to bring that many members in, it was just kind of the proof in the pudding for me.
Okay, well, there you go. A shout out to Cleta Connell, one of our mentors. I got to ask you this now. So take me a little bit further back in time. Take me to the time you decided to open a gym, and then to the point where you signed up for the Two Brain Startup Program. How did that whole thing come about?
Yeah. So, opening a gym has always been a dream of mine, from deployments in Iraq and Afghanistan to, just serving in the military. It was just always kind of long-term goal for me. All the sacrifices I made were going to be one day for me to open a gym. So when I got in the military, I worked for a couple tech companies. I worked for a company called Salesforce, who's really within the customer relationship management sphere, which kind of like started that kind of that passion for not only opening a gym, but being able to open a gym that served its members. So time fast forwards, a couple years after the military, I'm working for a quote unquote Globo gym that offers CrossFit classes. And we did a member survey. And at that member survey, the members identified maybe 2 or 3 little changes that they wanted to implement, maybe a couple grand worth of changes that would greatly enhance customer satisfaction. And the gym failed to do that. So they started hemorrhaging people left and right and losing that, long-term engagement with them and the revenue that they might've brought in just for a couple of small changes. And that was really the catalyst for my change. And I reached out to Two Brain. I was immediately plugged in with your amazing business template. I don't care if you're a gym or anybody, you need to look at the free template you guys offer. It's phenomenal.
You found that,
implementing that. And then I was paired.
Nice.
Yeah. To the T.
Okay. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted there. Keep going.
No, all I was going to say is that, with that business template, it really was a forcing function for me to kind of do the next steps in order to really kind of prepare me to work with a mentor. Now, I feel like Jolene could have really guided me, my mentor could have guided me through the business plan and stuff like that. But the fact that I used the free resources that you had up front, that kind of put me a step forward and we could start focusing on higher level things.
So when you started with that free resource that's available on the internet, we'll put that link in the show notes so you guys can check it out. what made you decide then to take the next step and actually sign up for startup? And again, because we're talking about startup, you're looking at balancing a ton of costs. So why invest in that?
Yeah. So I'm a very skeptical person, after being in sales, I know that
Yeah.
people can be a little shady and, and when you hear all this stuff on Two Brains podcasts and other podcasts, and oh, this is the best, this is the greatest thing. But hearing continual people, emphasizing the importance of working with you guys and going to multiple different CrossFit sites and seeing the No Sweat intro, which is, that brand that they're probably working with Two Brain, and seeing how successful some of these gyms are, that was really the catalyst that kind of brought me to Two Brain and kind of got that started for me.
So now when you get to the startup program, what else did you learn in there? What did Jolene teach you that maybe you didn't even have a clue about, or maybe something that you tweaked and did a little bit better? And how did that stuff help you?
Well, I tell you, startup is not just, working with a Two Brain mentor, but you also have your marketing team, right, which was, absolutely amazing, working with them, given these true and proven social media posts that just people flock to or respond to was really kind of, the big thing behind bringing clients in, and then having, Jolene there with me and taking me through, ramp up or startup, and having me, cross my T's and dotting my I's administratively, developing SOPs, getting a program for our on-ramp program, developing all these different things, and, really holding me accountable was huge. Jolene would give me, hey, I want you to work on these 3 things, and next call right away, what's the status of this? What's the status of that? And here I'm investing, a significant portion of my revenue into this mentorship, but yet I felt like I was working for Two Brain, and that just kind of got me going,
Did that process, did that link up with your mindset as a military guy? You've got a task, you got a plan, you got to report on it, you got accountability. Was that a part of it?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a right and a left side of the brain. Military people tend to be very left-sided,
yeah,
and we tend to focus on, the task, and we like to see what's already been done and just emulate, model what has been proven. And I think that was the power of Two Brain. And I mean, I'll say this all the time, and I hate to kind of go off the track here, but anyone who's listening, sometimes you gotta shut up and just listen to someone who's done it before. Listen to someone who's made mistakes,
I didn't do that. When I started my gym, 2011, I think we actually put it in a building, but it was around for a couple of years before that. I just tried to figure it out myself, and it didn't go super well. We managed to survive and get through it, but wow, did I ever make some mistakes that I didn't need to? And it's kind of, I look back now and I think, if I had had some resources, or if I had been smart enough to use the resources that were available, there weren't many, but there were some, I would have been in a different spot. So it wasn't until I started connecting. The twig for me was really when I sat in the stands at regionals, and we'd always talk to, as gym owners, we talk about, hey, do you have this problem, that problem, and so forth, and we'd solve some problems there. It never occurred to me that this could be a bigger thing. And then Chris Cooper figured it out and put it all together and solved the problems for everyone, and replicated essentially those, offhand, slightly drunken conversations after regionals ended. You want to know what my marketing well, yeah, you want to know what my marketing plan was?
Oh,
nothing.
Non-existent.
Nothing. People will come, and it didn't work.
Yeah.
And and that's not true. They did come to a degree, but I didn't have the success that other gym owners can have with an actual marketing plan, because my marketing plan was, I'll be a great coach, they'll show up. And it just didn't happen. Right. Maybe I wasn't as good a coach as I thought, but even if I was, they still didn't show up in the numbers that I needed for it to make a difference. But then when we started marketing with a plan, it worked. So tell me about this. Did you set a marketing budget and hit the ground running with this thing? Because it took me like 8 years to ever look at marketing. So did you just start with that?
Well, I really kind of did a couple grassroots things on my own. One, TikTok is a phenomenal platform for just putting videos together. It'll put music behind it. It'll create a 20-minute snippet of what's going on, showing people the gym, doing walkthroughs, talking about the founders program. That was instrumental in bringing a lot of people in. And that's a zero cost, effort right there.
So you can actually trace some of that to TikTok.
Oh, absolutely.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Yep. Yeah. It's been a great success for me, and it allows you the ability to download the video and then post it to other platforms as you wish. So that's been awesome. And people, going back to the Dale Carnegieism, people love to hear their names. People love to see themselves, nobody watches the videos for any other person but themselves in it, and that kind of keeps them, involved into it. In addition to, working with the Two Brain marketing team, we set a budget on the recommendation of Farah. She said, $15. I believe it was like $15 a day, if I'm not mistaken. And we were just inundated with leads. I had so many leads. I had so many no sweat intros that I had to start turning them away. I mean, it was just a phenomenal response. Yeah, absolutely.
So let me ask you this. Did you have the systems in place then? Because when I started getting leads, I didn't have the systems in place to manage it. Were you able, and I know you had to turn some people away, but were you able to, you had a plan for when people come in, this happens and this happens and this happens. Did that actually happen? Because it didn't happen for me.
Well, absolutely. I think another thing great about Two Brain is you have a lot of resources, a lot of documents there. The no sweat intro form, completely printed off. A monkey can fill it out, ask the questions, really dig deep into what's bringing a person in, and kind of uncover what the psychological reason is behind it, and then cater to that. And then you have your pricing binder, which is available, which will show all your programs and is clearly outlined for people. And then a little, Robert Cialdini, the 6 Principles of Influence, he talks about reciprocity. I'd make sure I'd give a water bottle, like you guys mentioned, or a sticker, and then that would build that trust with them. And I think that was just absolutely crucial to that.
It's interesting because as entrepreneurs, there's a tendency to just want to do your own thing, right? And I realize that's why a lot of us got into it. But there's also a reality that if you do the research and accept some guidance, you can sure save yourself a lot of time and money, And I find it interesting because a lot of the stuff that you've talked about here verbatim is stuff that we've recommended, like to the point of like giving a water bottle away, having the no sweat intro forms, doing the marketing like this. Often when we see people make mistakes, it's because they don't stick to the plan. Right. Yeah. And it's kind of funny because people say, well, my marketing's not working. And I'll listen to the marketing mentors and they'll say, well, did you use the exact thing that we've tested and tried and said worked? No, I changed it. Aha. Right. Mm-hmm. And it's hard sometimes though, as an entrepreneur, to give up that freedom, especially for me as a media guy. I'm like, I can take my own pictures. I don't need to use the pictures that they supplied. But when I did, I got better results. So how did that mentality shift work for you? Like, did you have any parts where you're like, man, I just want to do my own thing? Or how did you get your head around the fact of taking guidance?
Well, I think it's always a challenge as you're setting up a business. You feel like nobody understands, the trials that you're going through. And, fortunately, Jolene was a little patient with me as I, probably tried to work out some of my own kinks and made out some of my own mistakes. But you really have to trust the process. You have to sit back and say, we talk about higher value positions, right? Don't waste your time getting caught up in taking photos, the exact right photo for your website. There are things that have been proven that work. Two Brain has vetted them. They have worked for other gyms, and the things that haven't worked, that threw out the window. So being able to step back and say, hey, I trust you, mentor. I trust you, what you're offering to me, and I'm going to implement this. And hey, if it doesn't work, hey, I won't be back. But it works. It works, and I'm sure we're going to get into it in the future, with our conversation here, but the return on investment has been huge. Mentorship it's not cheap, but in comparison to the revenue that you're going to bring in with mentorship, it's absolutely crucial. It should be like the number one thing on your list as far as gym owner.
So let's talk about it. Tell me some other metrics. What do you got for me? Anything interesting? I know that you managed to start with 83 members, which beat my total by, 72 or something like that. What else you got for me?
Yeah, so we typically bring in, I would say on average, probably 5 to 6 members a week right now.
Ooh, nice.
All levels. I would say probably 75% of them have never done CrossFit before, brand new to the ecosystem, kind of fit that client avatar. And then maybe 25% are, either coming from another gym or they've done CrossFit before, and just kind of come in here to find out, hey, why is everybody so interested? Why do I see this everywhere? Why is it completely in my face all over social media? We bring in probably about 11K a month in revenue right now.
Oh, say that one more time. It cut out for a second. Give me that number one more time.
11,000 a month in revenue. Our overhead is about $5,000 a month. So we're looking at about $6,000 a month in profit, which, has been great. It helps pay the mortgage and kind of keep the lights on.
Profitable
Absolutely.
From day one. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. So that's congratulations on that, because that took me a while to get to too.
Yeah. And I hate to kind of, digress into some other avenue here, but, working with a mentor, and Jolene, and kind of talking about how much space I would need. We have this inkling as, future CrossFit box owners that we want this 10,000 square foot space, and it's absolutely necessary. And we need brand new this and that stuff.
Turf
like that.
and this.
Yeah, we have 2,500 square feet, 2,500 square feet, and we're almost at 100 members. It fits us perfectly fine. The rent's like $2,500 a month, and it
Beautiful.
allows you to be profitable right off the bat, and it allows you to provide something back to the members, so they see, hey, this guy cares about me. He's giving back to for my effort of coming here every day.
Yeah. And it's interesting because Chris Cooper wrote about that in various places now. But one of the things he said is that bigger gyms aren't necessarily more profitable. There are some very successful large gyms. They are definitely out there, but by and large in the micro gym industry, the sweet spots are in that 2,500 to 4,000 square feet. And that's not to say you can't go bigger or smaller, but the idea is like at the startup phase, if you signed, a 12,000 square foot lease and you've got this vacant thing and your 6 o'clock class is full and the rest of it's dead, that's going to be a money losing proposition, and to the point where you might sink. So to be able to hit the ground running and start with a smaller space, you can do all these different things. And then Chris's advice is always move, when you're bursting at the seams. You don't need as much space as you maybe think you do, right? It looks nice. And it's maybe a little bit of an ego thing where you're like, I have a gigantic gym, but bigger isn't necessarily better. So I love that you're in 2,500. Looking at what you've got there, is this your No Sweat Intro sales consultation room?
Yeah. This is the first thing that they see. One
Beautiful.
thing that we really try to keep here is a Starbucks feel. Yep. Starbucks puts a little bit of value behind, their environment, values every customer, regardless of race, gender, ethnicity, whatever it may be. I want everyone to feel extremely comfortable when they come in here. And I don't want them to be surrounded by dropping barbells, barking dogs, and, the traditional bravado of CrossFit.
Did you do that woodwork yourself?
I did. Yeah. I did. Yeah.
Very cool. Looks great.
Yeah. Thank you.
And the reason I ask again is that one of the recommendations is to get a building with a space where you can do these consultations, because again, a lot of us in the early days were like, you come in, there's the warehouse, there's the, the toilet where you vomit, and do you want to sign up? And it's not the way to sell gym memberships anymore. We've kind of figured out, but these consultation processes, the No Sweat Intro done in an office just like yours that looks like a fitness professional, has a great effect on people. It's all about building that trust. So I love that you brought that up for the spacing and so forth. Other startup expenses. Did you like, how did you pick out your equipment and so forth? Did Jolene give you any advice on that, or was that something that you took care of?
Well, her biggest piece of advice, I think, was phenomenal. This is something that you wouldn't know as a new gym owner, is it takes time for equipment to come in. You need to start ordering equipment months out, and especially with, the COVID disruption, the supply chains and whatnot. We got ahead of that really quick. Now, I did opt for a little bit more expensive equipment. We did go for rogue stuff, but I'm a strong believer in supporting American-owned companies. That's kind of an ethos that I had.
That's fair.
And I wanted to, and I know that they're, true and proven in the CrossFit community. So we kind of stuck with that and just kind of, just kept it with one vendor, so we knew everything that would fit together.
It's funny. I spoke to a guy, Mike Turnquist, in Central California a couple of weeks ago, and he was sitting in his second location of his gym, and he had done the painting and laid the flooring, and he was just literally looking out the windows to wait for the road truck to roll up.
Yeah. So, and when they roll up, they roll up.
It's pretty exciting. Yeah, it's pretty exciting. It's Bill Henniger over there, and I know the American made thing is important to a lot of people, and that was something that was important to him as well. So now talk to me about the trajectory of this thing. Your official opening date was what?
So it was, let me think here now. When was it? It was last month. I want to say April 23rd.
Okay. So call it April 23rd. Yep. Started with 83 members. You're adding 5 or 6 a month. Where are you going from here? And the question I want to ask is, how did you set your rates, and how will they support that journey?
Well, I obviously, another thing that we talk about in Two Brain is value your time and value what you're giving to everybody else. So there was initial inkling with me that I'm going to undercut everybody in the area, and I'm just the best rates. But like within a CrossFit community or any micro gym type of community, it's all about community. And people don't move because they're going to save $5 or whatnot. They go where the value is, whether that be, their friends or, the facility or what you're offering. You talked about quality coaching, that really kind of helped us dictate our prices. And once I kind of determined what our value was, my time as a CEO and what I could offer here, and I cash flowed a lot of things around my gym. So I just kind of took that all and backwards planned, and it really kind of came in line with what people were offering in the area. And another great Two Brain thing is figuring out what your best day is and how much money you want to make, and then working backwards off of that. And that was a phenomenal exercise that Jolene and I did.
So give me an idea, if you don't mind, what's an average rate for you? What's an average package for you? Or if you don't want to share it on your website, that's cool too.
No, I would love to talk about it. We offer $145 a month.
Yeah.
And then we do, that's unlimited. And then we have a hybrid AF package, which is 24/7 access, which is great. People love it in the area, which is $15 more a month. And then we do 12 times a month for $125 and 9 times a month for $105. And that really, though a lot of people come in and say, hey, I'm not so sure about this, we usually sign them up for 12 times and, the bug hits and then they go to unlimited nearly immediately. So it's kind of that kind of low cost entry point with an upgrade with right around the corner.
Okay. And so you started by thinking about like, what do I need to make to be happy? What do I need to make to support, this place, this family, all this other stuff. And then you set your rates based on those calculations.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
And my mentor had a lot of input too, what I should do.
Okay. This is good. And from here, talk to me about the revenue streams that you've got. Is it mostly group classes in a traditional CrossFit model, or do you have personal training and other things? I know Jolene's big on personal training. What else have you got going on there?
Well, right now, I'm the only full-time coach.
Yeah. Right.
So you know how that goes. I coach 6 classes a day, but I absolutely love it. I don't feel like there's a lot of stress upon me. So, my mentor suggested when you start feeling burnout, that's the time that you really need to start hammering down to find new coaches. But you know what, within the coaching sphere, building this awesome environment, a lot of people come to me. So starting next month, we're going to have almost 7 coaches on staff and training them up and getting them to fulfill those positions. And then that's going to take me out of, the group class role. And we're going to start offering more personal training, more nutrition coaching, more higher level type of things, where I can focus on marketing the business, growing the business writ large, and just, it's going to be great to kind of elevate myself within the ecosystem of CrossFit Angier.
Yeah. And that makes perfect sense. So you're starting with that group model, which is what a lot of us did. But then the idea is as soon as you free yourself up and climb the value ladder, as we like to say, you'll be able to offer personal training, nutrition. These are all add-on services, hybrid packages, or high value services all on their own, which starts creeping that average revenue per member up, in the 200, 250, 300. I know Jolene has some pretty high numbers that I can't even believe she did that and how much personal training she's able to do at her gyms. But it's neat that you have that perspective, because again, going back to my history, I didn't realize ignorantly that you could do personal training in a CrossFit style workout, like one-on-one. I thought it was just group classes, right? Wow, did I ever miss out on a lot of revenue that I could have helped people get double unders, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Could have helped my clients, could have helped my gym, the whole thing, but I didn't even realize it. So I love that you have that idea in place. Third leg is nutrition programs, which is a great one because it scales very quickly. Any plans for like a kids program eventually or anything specialty like that?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the coaches that's coming on board next month, she's coming from another gym that offers kids programming. She's bringing all of, her methodology over. It's a great market here, a lot of working parents. So I think it's going to be great to get a lot of, youth in this place. And, it's really the legacy, that we leave behind is how do we keep this business going? How do we keep this fitness trend going? People talk CrossFit is dead or CrossFit is dying. That is not true. We just need to put in the effort to keep what drew us in, drawing other people in.
The program works, it gets results. Like, I don't think anyone can argue with that. It certainly 100% gets results. I mean, you see what people can do when they stick with that program. And Craig Glassman, CrossFit trainer back in the day, said, like, eat what we tell you to eat, work out how we tell you to work out, and you'll be fine. And for a lot of people, that is exactly the prescription.
Yeah.
And then in your case, where you've got all these different ideas of personal training and nutrition and so forth, you can certainly alter the prescription as the need for the individual, and you've got the best of all worlds at your fingertips.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's close this out. There are people that are listening to this that are probably thinking about starting gyms, and they are, maybe like you were back, a little skeptical, saying, Mike's full of crap, Jason, I don't know. What would you say to those guys? They're thinking about starting a gym and they're thinking about mentorship or going out on their own. What's your message for them?
Going back to my sales background, if you want to make money, you need to trust the process. If you want to have a successful gym, if you want to be open for 2 to 3 years and survive the long haul, you have to trust what's already been done. Don't make the same mistakes that other people have made. I mean, there's a playbook. You guys have the playbook. Step 1, do this. Step 2, do that. And before you know it, you're opening doors with 90 some members. So I mean, just really kind of put all your woes to the side. Just kind of shut off your brain and just really trust the process. And I guarantee you, people will have success.
Jason, thank you so much for sharing your time with us. I know you're busy. You probably got a class to coach in a couple of minutes. I'll let you go, but I really appreciate it. And I want to wish you all the best. I want to see where you guys are at in a year or two. I think it's going to be incredible.
I think it'd be great. Thank you, Mike.
That was Jason Tebedo on Two Brain Radio. I'm your host, Mike Workin, and I'm all about telling the stories of amazing gym owners all around the world. Please subscribe for more episodes. And if you're on YouTube, hammer that like button and ring the notifications bell for me too.